Thank you, Robin, for joining us today. So, I want to frame this a little bit because I think the majority of the BD Roundtable members are from mid to small size firms. And
Yeah.
in those types of firms, the BD and marketing is one role, right? So, the BD manager does the BD and marketing. And typically, the marketing type activities take precedence because they're the easiest to show. It's short term. Oh, I posted this on LinkedIn and these have got this many likes. And the pure BD lead generation kind of gets left behind. So, in your mind, what is your differentiation? Like, how would you describe or define outbound BD for those on the call who are mainly doing marketing type work?
Well, I'm in the luxury position that I have two perfectly good marketing managers. I've got two colleagues that are doing the marketing for our company, and they're doing a great job in putting us out there. Um, and that's one side because I think that the marketing is showing what you can do, and but it's a one-way interaction with your clients. You're showing what you can do, and I think that in my role, the the advantage is that I'm trying to get in contact and have a conversations in both ways. So I try to get as most of contact that I could, explore new opportunities with clients and setting up a conversation with each other. So
Hmm.
I think for smaller and mid-sized companies, as we are, one of our biggest problems is that a lot of people do not know that we exist. So we need to focus on that, and then you need to reach out to a big group. But if you then want to make the next step and to see if you can make the connection with the people, your target group, then um, yeah, you need to reach
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
So
that's great. So I want to get into the practicalities because it's one thing to say, okay, the BD manager is going to connect with clients. So I want to know how you did it or how you're doing it. Day one, if a BD manager say, okay, we're going to start doing outbound BD, right? So day one, what did you do? Like you're at your computer, did you have LinkedIn open? Or like when you're sitting down to think, okay, how can I get more clients? What was the first thing that you did?
well, that's what was quite simple because as all law firms have their strategic plan, have their practice group plans, and then you only have to make a business development plan upon those two plans. Well, I think everybody's thinking, well, not everybody has that strategic plan and practice group plan. That's correct because we didn't have one.
Hmm.
So um, at the first day when I started, I had to do three or four things first. I need to know I need to know what kind of company we are, what kind of law firm we are. I need to know who my colleagues are, what their specialty is, what their expertise is. I love to know where they have studied, with which kind of specialization education they followed beside of their law degree and becoming a lawyer. Then I have to find out which type of clients we have, and that's something our office put a lot of time and expenses in to find out which kind of clients we have and which kind of clients we want.
So when you're talking, okay, so the colleagues, yes, that's a good point, which I think we all need to kind of learn a little bit more about what our lawyers do and what their specialties are, because I think many times the BD managers kind of have their CV and they don't really talk to the lawyers about, what kind of work they're actually doing. So one, take stock of what your lawyers are doing, what they're capable of doing. But yeah, when it comes to the clients and looking at who you have in the clients that you want, did you just look at the fees? Did you look at the productivity, the profitability? How did you look at your existing work and how did you know what type of clients you wanted?
Yeah, before I came in, our daily management has invited a consultancy club to define our target group, our persona. So we have like a clear vision of our personas, and it's basically comes on. We are looking for companies with a revenue of 200 to 500 million of revenue each year. Those companies sometimes have legal counsel, but in many cases the CFO is doing the legal all legal issues. Well, if they don't have a legal counsel, a lot of legal work will go to law firms like Buren, because our fees are are leveled at what they are willing to pay us. So we have personas, and then I took a look at what kind of companies we are working for, and then afterwards, when I saw that, I took a little step back and I thought, well, what makes us different in comparison to other law firms? And in Buren's case, it was quite easy because we have a unique proposition. We are the only Dutch law firm that has two own offices in China. And no other law firm in the Netherlands can do that.
Okay, so
the big law firms like name them. They have their rep office in China, but we have a presence of like 25 years in China. So.
Okay, so I want to explore the personas or the avatars or like your ideal client. So how detailed did you get? You mentioned all the way down to like revenue between this and this. So you had a very clear idea of who you wanted as a client and who you didn't. Right? Were there any other aspects that you looked at when you're sort of identifying who the key client is? How about like size? Did that matter, or was that what went into that?
The report was very give a lot of insight because they even mentioned what kind of car they would be driving. Yeah. Like they're not like the Ferrari or the Maseratis or the high-end customers with big. No, they're more like we got different kind of personas, but we got functions like we need to get into the focus of the DGA's, so the CEOs, but the directors of that kind of companies, CFOs, legal counsels.
Okay. So I think maybe for the firms and BD managers who don't have the budget to hire a consultancy, maybe would you recommend we sit down with the partners and just have a quick interview? Okay, who is your key client? What do they look like? What sort of company do they work for? Just so the BD team has an idea, right?
And you can start doing that by yourself. Just look at which are the 10 biggest clients with each practice group, and see what kind of companies those are, and try to get as much as information about the company, but start talking to the partners about who is your contact with that company, what kind of person it is, look him up at LinkedIn, see what education he had done, what kind of jobs he had, and then it gives a more precise insight in well, is that the typical company you want to work for? And you can make that on base of revenue. You can do it on base of the sector that they work on in. So there are different ways to not make a big plan, but just start doing it.
Okay. Well, I have a few questions which I'll save for the roundtable session about technology and how you actually manage all of that. So we have about 10 minutes left. So what I want to focus on now is, okay, let's say we've identified our key persona, we have our client avatar, we know who we want to target. Oh, how do you do that? So what do you do now? What do you go to LinkedIn and search? Do you look Google? What was your steps that you took that you found useful?
When I start my work, I open my email, I open LinkedIn, I open our company website, I open our team, just to have direct insight in those three things. What do? I create lists. So I have my top 500 companies in the Netherlands list, and I try to figure out which kind of companies, scroll down LinkedIn, follow those companies on LinkedIn, see what they are posting, see if they have got news,
Yeah.
and
So just on the LinkedIn, sorry, I'm just interrupting you here, but on LinkedIn, for those of you who may not know, like there's a very sophisticated search function, even if you don't have Sales Navigator, right? So you can actually go in and find a location, specific location, company size, you know, all of that sort of stuff, right? Did you
and in
do
the
any of that?
Netherlands, and in the Netherlands, location isn't a problem because you can
So
go
small.
200 kilometers up and 200 down, and that's the Netherlands. A little bit to the left, a little bit to the side, and then that's your target area.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I did was I was looking at companies that are big enough to go and explore their opportunities in China, because if I call those companies and just call them to ask them to get acquainted and get introduced, I want to introduce them to one of our partners. If they are telling me, well, first of all, they are like surprised that I'm calling because they're not accustomed to lawyers reaching out to them.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because the other week I was actually going to call a company, sort of a cold call, as it were, and I found myself like not doing it. I didn't go ahead with it. I just sent an email. Um,
And that's the natural reaction.
yes, yes. So that's something we gotta get past because I was never trained in sales, and this is like real sales, right? So when that phone is ringing, what do you say when they answer? Like, "Hi, I'm from this law firm." Like, how did you approach that first call, that cold call?
Well, I try to find some hooks to get the discussion going. So, for example, 2 months ago we did an M&A, a distressed M&A case, and we had we helped some shipyards in the Netherlands. They had a supplier that went bankrupt, and they needed that supplier to build their ships, and they managed um, to get in the process to find another owner for that supplier. So I thought, well, we just did a terrific job for four of the most famous shipbuilders in the Netherlands. Why don't I go and call some other shipyards or suppliers and tell them, well, I just want to tell you about a great deal we did and the things we learned about that deal. Can we talk to you? And they are very interesting to hear something about things that are happening in their branch, their league, and want to hear it. And then it brought me like 5 no's and 2 yeses. And those 2 yeses give you the opportunity to get in contact, and it gives you the momentum to let one of the partners talk about the things he did in that transaction, and show the enthusiasm and his knowledge about the deal he did.
So I guess, yeah, so those calls, you have to bring something to the conversation first, right? It has to be relevant to them. You
Yeah,
can't just.
and sometimes, William, I have the big. I don't know if that's the right word. The big threshold or the big step to take to pick up the phone and think, well, I want to call this company because I look at its website and it's interesting. I want to work for them. I don't see any China connection. I don't see any other connections, but just go for it. And I told the guy, I called him up and I said, well, I want to introduce you to our office, and I cannot find any connection with your company at this moment. But I read your website and I see your company doing great things, and I think we are doing great things. So just have a chat and see if we have any connection.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's very encouraging. You don't have to put on the used car salesman techniques or any of that sort of stuff. Just be very genuine, right? And
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, that's it.
That,
That's
hey,
it.
I'm just reaching out. I saw you, this is what we've done, this is how I think we could help you. Is there any way we could move this forward, or, so, okay, let's say you've called them, you've got someone to answer, they sound interested, then you just book a meeting and invite your partner and let them take it?
Yeah, and it depends a little bit on which topic or which way I got in, because a lot of times, if you want to do it the easy way, last month I sat down with one of our senior associates, took her LinkedIn and run through their LinkedIn and see which legal counsels she has already in the network and we're not working for. So at that moment, I just give that person a call and say, well, my colleague wants to get back into contact with you. Can we plan a meeting to renew our connection? And then it's easy. Then you have to plan it. But when it's concerning cold calling and getting the opportunity to get into a totally new company, then I'm looking for, in the short conversation I have and the information I did my research on, I try to make the right connection with one of the partners. So, well, if you get to know your partner better and know what kind of person he is, and my way of doing that is to, well, make some walks through the building and have a little chat with everybody there if they have the time for me. But in the time that we can go to meetings, I sit a lot in one car with the partners and have a talk and get to know each other better, and then you get a click with them and see how they react when talking to prospects and feel their energy, and then you have to connect both parties with each other.
Okay, awesome. So before we shift over, we have about 40 seconds left in this interview. I will extend it a little bit, but before we shift over to the roundtable session, for those watching on YouTube, how do you keep up the momentum? Like, do you have any self-imposed KPIs that, okay, I'm going to contact 3 or 4 companies this month, or, how do you keep up that follow-through momentum?
Yeah, normally I've got my calling blocks. So I usually take one or 2 moments in a week to set myself, get my list out, see the people who I have reached out in the last month, and give them a reminder or give them a call, and otherwise try to contact new companies. And those new companies is more like, if I read something on LinkedIn or in the news, in the newspaper, that makes me think about, oh, okay, this is happening, and we can target those groups. Just go ahead and do it.
All right, awesome. So we're going to transition into the Q&A session now, but before we do that, for those of you watching on YouTube, what's the best place to get in contact with you, Robin?
Just reach out on LinkedIn with me. I'm almost 24/7 on LinkedIn. I like to reach out to people and get connected and helping people think of great things to do. So
okay, awesome. We'll put those links in the descriptions, and thank you so much.
Great, welcome.